Spin City. Spin City on the screen, got the room on 10. Breaking news, panel smoke, then he does it again. The bass in the morning, debauchery at night. He steps in loud and he don't back right. Clip it, post it, watch the chat explode. One more take, then he takes the road. He talks that talk with a grin and a stare. The other side's talking, he already there. Hold up, here he comes. Hands in the air, let the verdict come. No more hush, no more shade. Spin City live and the whole place sways. Spin City, Spin City. He don't play it safe. Spin City, bringing fire to the face. MAGA on the mic, and he says what he means. Spin City, shaking up the scene. Panels in a circle, everybody wants a turn. He leans in hard, let the hot takes burn. Protest on the ticker, riot in the thread. He talks over the chaos with a raised up head. Yell a little louder, make the point land clean. Cut through the noise like a headline machine. If they come for the room, he comes right back. One more clash and the whole beat snap. Hold up, here he comes. Hands in the air, let the verdict come. No more hush, no more shade. Spin City live and the whole place sways. Spin City, he don't play it safe. Spin City, bringing fire to the face. MAGA on the mic, and he says what he means. Spin City, shaking up the scene. When the mics get hot and the comments fly, he laughs at the noise and he calls it live. One more round, let the sparks go wide. Spin City standing on the right side. Spin City, he don't play it safe. Spin City, bringing fire to the face. MAGA on the mic, and he says what he means. Spin City, shaking up the scene.
Good evening, good morning, wherever you are. We are back on the air with the transgenderism debate. Ms. Culture Corrections is under the weather, so we found a stand-in. We've got Kraut Mick on the screen at Kraut Mick over on YouTube, and we have Bones of Doom. Make sure you go over and subscribe to at Bones of Doom over on YouTube and I believe Twitch. Is that correct, Bones?
Yep, and TikTok as well.
On TikTok as well. All right, gentlemen, are we ready for this debate about transgenderism? And just a few rules we're going to go over. Krautmick will, when at the time, Krautwick will make his opening statement. He has 5 minutes to make his opening statement, and then Mr. Bones of Doom will have 5 minutes to make his opening statement. And at that point, we will open the floor for Krautmick and Bones to have their say in what they believe in the transgenderism topic. After that, I will drop the StreamYard link for anybody that is watching to come up and give some pushback. We're going to go about an hour and a half, and if we get a lot of panelists up here, we will extend the times. Krautmick, good to see you, my friend. Thank you for coming at the last minute. I really honestly appreciate you filling in for Culture Corrections. Sir, if you will start us off with your opening statement, please.
Sure, absolutely. First off, it'll probably take me 2 minutes. Thank you for having me. Bones, thank you for being here too. I'm always eager to get opposition from somebody that has different views. It's entertaining nonetheless, and you might be able to do, regardless of what you feel, get educated and see it from a different light. All that said, I believe transgenderism is not a feeling like most people claim, and it's not a science to back people on how they feel. I truly believe It's a mental illness, and I can back that up when the debate actually opens up. This is my first time on a 1v1, so I'm not really too formal with how everything goes. But all that said, I'll pass it off to Bones.
Bones, your opening statement, please.
All right, so I'm probably going to cover like a few of the topics related to trans issues and trans people from a pro-trans lens. In particular, my view is that trans people, the group of people, are very much not delusional, and being trans also in of itself doesn't entail any delusion or any mental illness for that matter. Um, uh, that would come in the form of what would be called a gender dysphoria per the DSM-5. Once I have that pulled up, I'll be able to talk about it more in depth in a moment. But regarding that, it's very obvious that trans people are not like a massive like threat to society. They are like they're like the rest of us, except they just identify with a different gender that does not correspond to their sex, and from that, they should be able to be afforded all the same rights as pretty much everyone else has in society. Save it for some like maybe edge cases related to sports and all that. And I think I might have some bipartisan agreement from Krautmik on sports if we ever get into that. Speaking of which, my position is that probably most trans people shouldn't be, or at least trans women rather, shouldn't be in sports. I would say that the farthest I'd go on would be to for those who are transitioning before they hit puberty or when they start hitting puberty, they go under HRT. That those people would be ideally allowed to participate in sports on a level playing field. Outside of that, I am for kids being able to get access to transgender HRT or social affirmation under, of course, strict conditions related to what parental approval, physician approval, etc. But I feel like that's a pretty easy position to defend as well. And then if we get into it, of course, the what is a woman topic is always really fun and always opens up a lot of very interesting avenues and bullet bites for my opposition. So hope we get into that.
Okay, gentlemen, just a reminder, excuse me. Just a reminder, please respect terms of service. This is a debate. One person goes, the other person responds, vice versa. Please, gentlemen, do your best to police yourself. Kraut, start us off.
All right. So not to sound like other certain debaters, but I just want one clarifying thing from you, Bone. When we talk about transgender, I believe there's actually three categories that fits in a whole. Men that don't undergo any surgery whatsoever, that claim to be woman, that LGBT supports, actual men that goes into transition, and of course there's women that transition into men, but we can both agree the main um, problem or discussion that everybody has is men transition into girls, right? Based on a
So
whole bunch.
any trans person is just going to be someone whose gender is misaligned with their sex assigned at birth. That's all that entails with being trans. We can get
All right.
into like the levels of like gender dysphoria, whether they transition. That can be interesting topics, but outside of
All
that,
right. And my third category that fits into the trans is like the intersex people or the people that have I don't know all the scientific terms like the XXY or the XXX or whatever it is. Which we can discuss that, but what I really want to hone in on the men that have no interest in undergoing any surgeries or anything like that. Just want to claim they are a woman. Do you support their claim?
given so are you just asking for like the definition of woman that I tend to?
I mean, yeah, we can
That
go
might
into the
help
definition
clarify
of a
it.
woman, but
Uh,
I think that's so played out by now. Like,
yeah, so I
I,
can. I'll simply just say that like just identifying as a woman doesn't make you a woman. For me, it requires that one, you identify with it, but also that you save for some non-exhaustive or some cases outside of the scope of this, you are majority like having feminine traits that are associated with like you. So that could be anything kind of entailed by what's we kind of see that is intuitive in society. You know, the dresses, the long hair, the higher pitched voice generally, maybe hairstyles as well, like all sorts of things that can encompass that. Secondary sex characteristics to some degree as well influence that.
So basically, how you present yourself, like if you present more feminine or wear dresses or have a higher pitched voice, then you would support their claim. Just trying to get like a
If
feel on
if
where you're
they
at with it.
if they both identify with being a woman and that they have like majority feminine characteristics. Of
Right.
course,
Yeah.
this doesn't really, this doesn't is it's not all encompassing, and I don't claim that this definition is either. I would just say that this isn't necessarily for you, but anyone else. I don't think exhaustive definitions are going to be like a really interesting topic, or rather, getting an exhaustive definition of woman isn't going to be really interesting because there really
I
isn't.
agree. There's
And
so
that's
many
my
thoughts
opinion.
about that. I think, yeah, I think we're both educated enough to know what an actual woman is. But so do you think there are men that will take advantage of the system, wear a dress, talk a high pitched voice, and be feminine just to go in, the restrooms meant for a woman?
I imagine that those things happen and that it is possible for it to happen. Are you suggesting that this could increase like the like crime rates that are going on with respect to like restroom crimes or like assault, sexual crimes, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, it has happened, and we can get into that,
Well,
but it's
I no, no,
more
I'm granting
so,
that. I'm granting that it does happen. I'm asking you,
yeah.
like, whether these behaviors are necessarily indicative of a bigger issue. Like, does this increase the crime rates if we allow trans people to use restrooms?
Well, is it? Well, first of all, gentlemen, I think we have to establish one quick thing. Is it a crime for a male to go into a female bathroom, regardless whether they are in a dress or they feel or think they are a woman? But is
Um,
it a crime?
as far as like bathroom laws are concerned, I don't think that it is the case. Like, let's say that a trans person would be like barred from using the restroom.
It's actually,
I
I
think
don't,
it's mostly up to. I want to say it's mostly up to like the private discretion with respect to that.
Kraut Mick?
yeah, Bones is right. I don't believe there's any actual law that stops that. Like, men take their daughters in a female's bathroom all the time to make sure, nobody's in there for, or they'll even send them in a men's bathroom. The same thing, make sure no one's in there. So you got a man escorting his daughter in the female restroom, or escorting their daughter in the male's restroom. Whatever the point stands. But I do know people have been discriminated against, and even in some cases getting fired because they refuse to let a man in a woman's restroom at an establishment. But I'll say this. This is one of my points. People say not all men who claim to be women are like sexual deviants, and that may be. I'll give you that for the sake of the argument I'm about to make. Do you think all men who, and I don't believe there's no identifying, like, you are what you are, but I'm gonna use words to, like, go along with your argument to be respectful to your beliefs. Do you believe men who identify as men, do you believe all of them are sexual deviants or perverts?
Uh, I get. Are you saying that? Are you asking me if I believe that like trans women are like sexually deviant,
No, no, no. Regular, like
or
me.
like or
I'm
regular
a
men?
guy. I'm a
On average, probably not.
All right, but we do have men and women's restrooms, right? For a variety set of reasons, not just crime. It's just that.
There's scenarios where it is permissible for a man to go into a woman's restroom, obviously, including the ones that you stated earlier, including one that I've stated. It also works vice versa to some degree.
Right, but we have men's and women's restrooms for mainly two reasons. One, just in case, you know, you got a pervert man going in there with ill intent, and or you know, the woman just doesn't want to see that, you know, right?
Okay, I kind of want to like go right onto this topic here. I asked earlier if you believe that like allowing trans people to go into the gendered restroom that they identify with, or rather that they are, in my position. Let's say like a trans woman or trans women are allowed to go into the women's restroom. Would we see an increase in crimes if we
So
enact a policy like that?
I'm real finicky with words. I just want to we can talk about the actual transgenders. Right now I'm talking about men that have no transition who want to identify as women, as females. So I'll ask my question again. You already agreed not all men who identify as men, regular men like me and Spin, you know, we're not all deviants, but we have men and female restrooms for the fact that safety concerns and you know, females, they don't want to be around other men when they're going to the bathroom, right?
Well, I think I actually have like a more interesting stance on restrooms. I think that we ought to just like increase the privacy of the respective stalls too, even to kind of accomplish that. And I don't think that
Right, but
uh,
we don't have that
I
now.
think that
But
like
you would
the
agree.
idea of like segregating them, yeah, it does. It gives some sense of like safety.
Right,
Although
safety
I'm
and
not sure like
you
how
know,
well it's
comfort.
like played out, considering in like Europe, those
Right.
benefits aren't as well realized. And it could
Now
just be like
with
a
that,
different,
yeah,
like
yeah.
it could just be like a societal thing.
Now with that said, I understand not all men who claim to be woman, maybe it's just they came just to be treated like a woman. I have no clue on that aspect. Not all of them are like, you know, they want to show their junk to females or they just want to be in the females' restroom. But there are some that do that. Now,
Yeah,
because
and
we
I
have
don't think that
female,
I don't think that it
hold on
requires
one
you to be
second,
like
Bones.
a or
Let
identify
me
as a
drive it
trans
home.
person to be able to do that.
Let
I'm
me
just trying
drive
to
it
figure out
home,
what the
Bones.
point is.
I'm gonna bring it home. We have women's and men's restroom to keep that from happening. Why should men who claim to be women get treated differently? Because we have no clue what's in their head. We don't know if they
What do you
just
mean by
want to go
treated
on.
differently?
Why should why should we allow men to be in females' restrooms just because they claim to feel a certain way? We don't know
You,
what their agenda is.
I mean, uh, for for the sake of just like making the argument here, I mean, most people when they're trying to use the restroom are wanting to like be in a comfortable spot where they can just use the restroom. The
Yeah.
idea that that we have like some risk of a malicious actor coming in is just like not really convincing because we could also flip this on the other way and we could just say that like a woman going into a woman's restroom could also be predatory in that sense or like rather a cis woman would be doing this or like a cis man going into a man's restroom. Those
Right. But
also
like
carry that risk. So so one second, the idea of like a trans person being allowed to go into that restroom, creating those risks is one, like not really a novel risk, and two, there's actually like policy or not policy. There's rather like a study on this that shows that like there really isn't like malicious actors generally going into the restrooms, and that crime rates don't spike when pro or trans inclusive bathroom policies are implemented.
Well,
well again it's
let me interrupt you guys for just a second. Bones, on Pilled, I one of my viewers is saying, Bones, can you describe or what you mean by cis men or cis women?
Okay, perfect. So CIS. Basically, it is someone whose gender aligns with their sex at birth. So generally what that means is that if you're born male and you are a man being gender, male being sex, that those two are just corresponding like categories because there's a lot of overlap between like male and man in that sense. And there's a lot
Perfect.
of entailments that come with being born male that is kind of like thrown onto the gender.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Bones, for answering that question. Back to
Yep.
you guys.
all right. So like I'm about to drive it home. Uh So you already agreed that we have men and women and women's restrooms to try to mitigate the sexual deviancy that some men may have on their mind.
Also, I'm gonna
Why
post
don't
the study in chat for you guys. It's a full PDF right there for you to look up regarding what I mentioned earlier.
Okay.
But yeah, go ahead.
so why don't we do the same thing to the men who claim to be women, because we don't know their agenda. There are some out there that just want to go into the women's restroom just to like get a kick off. Some people get kicks just by showing their junk or just by invading a woman's personal space. Some men just
Yeah,
get a
I don't
kick
think
out
that's
of that.
necessarily like unique to trans people, though. I think that this would just be the
Well, no,
case
no,
with
no.
like
Hold on,
any
hold on.
person. I'm like
Right,
this
agreed.
is the
But
thing.
you,
I'm trying to figure out like what the point is because I don't really like see a point.
well,
I feel like
you're
I've
missing the
already wait.
point.
Hold on. Let me bring it home. I feel like I've already addressed this by bringing up the study here. It's called "Gender Identity Non-Discrimination Laws in Public Accommodations: A Review of Evidence Regarding Safety and Privacy in Public Restrooms, Locker Rooms, and Changing Rooms." And to kind of like simplify it a little bit, basically the data shows that there's no like criminal activity increase with the inclusion of like pro trans inclusion like policies. So like the idea
So,
that like we'd see like a increase of like this deviant behavior is one unfounded because there's not really a lot of data on like the specific like I guess like kink acts that you're talking about, but also there's not really any data regarding like criminality and whether like more people are going to be victimized per capita.
But
So
is it
I
really
have no
devious behavior?
yeah I have well I would say so. It is if you're like getting your rocks off in a restroom. I feel like that's really weird.
I
But
think that's a little more than weird, but okay.
like,
yeah.
but
I
I'm
mean, people get rocks off
oversimplifying
by
I'm
flashing people.
oversimplifying the fuck out of my position. I can elaborate, but I don't really think it's necessary.
All
Morally,
right.
it's probably questionable at
So
best.
boom. So
Probably morally wrong at worst. But to kind of go at this, what I'm bringing up is a pretty strong claim here that the inclusion of trans people in restrooms or in locker rooms doesn't correspond with an increase in criminal behavior
well,
or
again,
criminal
I'm not just
convictions.
talking about criminal behavior. Like, I'm not.
Well,
I'm
I'm
not.
just kind of extrapolating it
It's
to deviancy in
comfortability.
general as well.
Like, what do you say to all the women out there that don't want men in their restrooms? Do you say, forget about it, get over it?
I mean, they might have like concerns, but with respect to like whether they're going to
Valid.
be at risk, whether they're going to be at risk, the data just doesn't show that.
I mean, it's not just about. See, you're doing the Brian Shapiro act. You're playing word games. I'm trying to narrow it down.
Okay.
What you're
No,
telling me,
that's
I feel like
no.
you
What
want to
I'm
go
doing
starch and fruit
specifically is
with
trying
me.
to narrow it down into like the risk factors. What you're asking,
It's
or what you're
it's not
saying
all
when
about
you're
risk.
like,
It's
hold on. When
comfortability.
you're saying that women, hold on. When you're saying that women are like feeling like some sort of like threat with trans women being in the restrooms, there are like certain factors that might be borne out in that. You kind of mentioned deviant behavior. I'm taking the approach of criminal behavior because that's probably what's going to be the most pertinent and what's probably going to be the most likely to victimize women, whether it be assault, rape, et cetera, et cetera. Um, and what the
All right.
data shows is that there's not really a risk at all.
Well, I mean, we can go over data, but I'm trying to get you
I'm
to
just saying that
concede
if
on this
they're
point. So let me
okay,
ask you a question. If me and you are out in public and I just stand right next to you, like I'm almost touching your shoulder, I'm like 1 inch from you. Are you gonna feel uncomfortable? You're gonna be like, hey, what are you doing?
yeah, probably.
Okay. And we're two guys. Imagine how a woman feels in the restroom when a man enters that space. How do you think they'll feel?
Well, if you've ever been in a woman's restroom, there are like stalls separating every person. So, with
So
respect to
they're in
like
the
the
stalls
restroom,
at
so
all
there.
times. They're not by the sink getting their makeup out or anything
Well,
like that.
okay. So when you're doing your business, generally you're going to be using the toilet. If you're just like at the sink, I mean, you're in a public space. So I'm pretty sure, like, again, this isn't going to be
It's
exclusive to like
actually a
trans people.
bathroom is
Well,
technically not a public
hold on.
space.
I'm not done yet. But going back to this, what you're telling me is that if sometimes women are going to feel uncomfortable, okay. Again, this isn't a problem exclusive to trans people. Any sort of idea that trans people are going to like harm them in some way is also just going to be unfounded. So really what I'm saying is that there's not really much for them to worry about, and it might just be that they have like this irrational feeling.
All right.
Unless you
So,
can rationalize it for me.
all right. So, what you subscribe to is a Starship Troopers dictatorship where men and females, they all use the same restroom and same bathroom.
Um, I mean, fundamentally, I don't see like a big issue with that. I think most of the barriers are probably just going to be cultural. I think Europe is probably like a little bit more like in line with that idea than America is to some degree. And personally, like, I don't care. I just want to do my business and get out of there.
Okay. Well, I feel like I
I'm
can
spend a
change your
lot of
mind
time in the
on this.
restroom, so
I just want to say one more thing, and then moving on to why I feel like it's mental in this. So unless you have anything else after I say this last bit, where I'm not a tough guy. I won fights and I lost fights, but there has been times where I just straight up punked a dude, where he neither one of us swung. I didn't even put my hands on him. You know, he got mad through whatever the situation. I didn't touch him, and I felt good about myself. I thought in the back of my head, yeah, you definitely fucking handled that. Dude was a bitch. You know, for lack of a better term, I got off for showing that motherfucker he wasn't shit. Now, men, there are some men out there that claim to be women that are deviants that just get off of being around women in women's lockers and their restroom that just get off of being around them. It's a mental thing. But other than that, I have
so
nothing to say on that subject unless you want to add to it.
okay, so let me kind of circle back to this. And are you saying that these are like trans women that are like
No, we're
accomplishing
not.
some
We're
sort of
not.
like kink or
No,
fetish?
we're not talking about trans
Okay,
right now.
okay, perfect.
When
That's
I think
fine
of
then. So
trans,
yeah,
I think of people that
I will
actually
grant that.
transition.
Yeah, I'll grant that like some people are gonna abuse like societal like norms to get like their like rocks off or to like accomplish malicious means. But that's also just not the scope of the trans debate, really.
Well, I mean, it's
And
not the
quite
scope of
frankly,
regular men being perverts either, but
eh,
we still have
well,
female and men's restrooms. That's what you're not understanding.
yeah, so again, it's just not quite in the like realm of like transgenderism, and even then, or transgender in general, the topic. And even then, the data doesn't really show there like any like criminal like or increasing
Oh,
crimes happening in these restrooms again. So like the
oh,
idea that like
I
we're
can't wait
seeing
to go into the
so the
debate.
wait, well, hold on. So the idea that we're seeing like a massive prevalence of or even like an increased prevalence of like men abusing these rules in women's restrooms just to jerk off, like that just seems pretty preposterous.
Well, again, not necessarily. Like I gave an example. Again, I'm not a tough guy. I won some, I lost some. But
Okay, you gave an
yeah.
example. I have a study, I have data on this
Well, we're
that
gonna get on
shows
study,
the
but
effects of these policies. Wait, that shows the effects of these policies. If you're not really like gonna like rebut that or anything, then I don't see any reason to believe that there should be a massive issue.
well, I mean, socially, to make people more comfortable, we assign restrooms specific to a sex. I'm not going to say gender because that's a social norm. That's some John Money bullshit, and we can get into him
Um,
too.
So no, there are trans women who use women's restrooms all the time and don't get questioned, and similarly, trans men don't do that too. If we were to segregate by sex, then what we're really doing is at some point you'd have to like find the demarcation line, and most of those tend to be pretty invasive.
Right. All right. So, I mean, I feel like I can't change your mind again. I kind of want to move into the topic of why I feel like it's actually a mental illness. You know, if you go with where we left off with the whole restroom debate about the spaces.
Sure, go for it.
Yeah. Again, this is my first debate. You know, bear with me. All right.
Hey, you're good.
Yeah. Like I said, you know, I believe it's a mental illness, and I'll state mainly why. If we if the trans community can say that men can be or woman females can be born in men bodies with no scientific hard evidence, but yet we do have scientific hard evidence where people have mental illnesses that makes them think a whole wide of things. But we can agree that gender dysphoria is a mental illness. What I mean is we can figure out that them actually thinking they're a female, we can do studies and probably show something's not firing right in the brain. We should get them help rather than conforming to their illness.
Okay, so are you familiar with the DSM-5 at all?
I'm not. I
Okay,
mean, I
perfect.
might be. I'm just don't know what it's called.
Okay, so you don't know what it's called. Okay, is that like an accurate statement, or you don't know like what it is?
Well,
Rather,
no, yeah. Well, explain the study. I might know the study, and I just didn't know it was called that. But I'll be honest, when you state the study, I'll let you know if I ever heard of it or not.
so
The DSM-5
well, I
crowd.
can explain.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the DSM-5 it's called the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of and it's the fifth edition specifically, and what it documents is like mental issues and how to like diagnose them to some degree. Gender dysphoria is actually one of those illnesses. Notably, transgender is not one of those. Why do you think that is?
Say that one more time. Did you say gender dysphoria is, but transgenderism isn't?
Yes, transgender is not a listed mental illness, but gender dysphoria is.
Now, gender dysphoria. Explain that definition real quick, just so I got it correctly.
So, gender dysphoria is, for lack of a more like dense definition of it, basically, it is some type of distress that you feel when there's some incongruency between your gender identity and then the sex that you're born as,
And
or rather as in other ways, like how society sees you as.
and that's the one that's categorized as a mental illness in the DC-5. It's called
DSM-5, yes, it is a mental illness. It is a
DSM-5.
type of distress based mental illness.
But the transgenderism. Well, I would simply say you're acting on a mental illness and then changing something about your body. Like
Yeah, yeah. So
elaborate
what
more on
about
your
your
statement.
okay, so I actually have a question. What about your body changes when you go from when you go from just socially transitioning from like a man to a woman? Like what about your body changes?
From a man to a woman. I mean,
Yeah.
outside a lot of things changes, but inside nothing changes. Maybe some
So there's no
hormones.
bodily changes. Okay, cool. So basically
No, no,
all
no.
that
I said
trans again
no.
entail
Body changes, outside changes, or yeah, there's definitely outside changes.
there are no
That's
what I'm talking about are like sorry, hormonal changes or like changes to secondary sex characteristics or otherwise. That's what
I'm
I'm
sorry. Say that
asking.
one more time.
So I'm okay. What I was getting at is that when you socially transition from being a man to a woman, you don't change anything about your body per se. You just change the outward appearance to make it correspond more with your gender identity.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Well,
that's not entailed by that, and so there's nothing about your body being changed. So in that case, being trans wouldn't be like some sort of mental illness or acting on it per se, or anything that is like clinically significant.
well, well, I mean, again, you said gender dysphoria is a mental illness. So men just claiming to
Yes.
be women, by definition, would have a mental illness. Now we can talk
Yeah, based
about the
off of
people
what?
that actually
Based off
transition.
of
Huh?
based off of what exactly? Considering you don't know the diagnostic criteria for this, and also considering you just learned that being trans doesn't entail a mental illness either.
Well, I believe that transitioning in itself is a mental illness. Bottom line, if you think
Yeah. Okay.
you can
So,
be,
what do you take a mental illness to be then?
um, well, there's a whole scope of mental illnesses, but I'm not going to call it a disease because that's actively harming your body. But a mental illness is, damn, I don't know how to put this right. It's when you fundamentally think something and it changes your whole reality. Like people that see shadows, or old people. Unfortunately, some of them, when they start developing the what is it, the Alzheimer's or Alzheimer's, however you pronounce
Okay.
it, those are mental illnesses. And to
Okay.
say that people think they're born in the wrong body isn't a mental illness, I think that's absurd. I mean,
Uh, One,
you got the and
I
you got
never
the
claimed
mental
that
illness.
trans people say that they're born in the wrong body. There are some people who, or some trans people and some like medical professionals in that may believe that it is the case, but I don't know if that's like a prevailing view anymore. And also, if all it takes is that there's like some sort of like something that happens mentally that changes your like drastically your like outlook on life. I could just like make this scenario right here. Let's say that like sometime tonight, God comes down and he tells you that in order to live a perfect life, you must go to the elementary school tomorrow and burn it down while the kids are in school. All the kids have to be in school. Um, all that really entails is that like what I'm getting at is that you have like some sort of belief that or some sort of idea that changes your entire outlook on your life and that you just like do something. Um, would that be would that be on the same level then as someone feeling that they're just like a different gender?
Well, yeah, I don't know what all you just said. I don't know what I don't really have an answer to your question, but do you know who John Money is?
Oh yeah, so I can talk about it real quick. He conducted a study specifically on a I believe it was a kid who had a botched circumcision, and from that they just
Two boys.
reconstructed. Oh, sorry, it's two boys. Yeah, and they just
Yeah. Well, he
reconstruct. No, it
actually,
was one of them. One of them had the botched circumcision, I believe.
yep.
Um, and basically, what they did was these two boys grew up, and the person with the botched circumcision was forced to grow up as a woman. From
No,
that,
no, no. He wasn't
very,
forced.
yeah,
I don't mean to interrupt, but he wasn't forced. John Money wanted to conduct. I did a lot of research on John Money. He wanted to conduct an experiment to see
yep.
if you can to see if yeah. So the boy yeah, the doctor John Money basically told his parents, hey, raise him as a girl, because he wanted to
Yeah,
run
so the kid
experiment.
was told to be forced to be raised as a girl. Yeah, and eventually over
No, no,
time,
no, no. He wasn't
and
forced. No, see, this is the Brian
yes,
Shapiro technique.
yes, he
You're
was
playing word
absolutely
games.
forced.
No, he
Absolutely, yeah.
wasn't forced. Who forced him?
The parents, obviously,
By who?
the the parents forced him to be a woman. Yeah,
No, but who told the parents?
they like told this person that he was a woman his entire life, and he didn't feel this way. And when it found out that he was actually like born a man, and when he and this was after his gender identity, presumably was of being a man, he ended up offing himself. And
Yeah. Why
really,
do you think that is?
what the scenario tells is like kind of like twofold. One, how unethical John Money was, but also two, that forcing people to be a gender that they're not is not going to be conducive to good outcomes. Which is why we see that when parents and close people around the person's social circle don't do gender affirmation when they're trying to be a certain gender, that they have a higher likelihood of offing themselves.
Right. But you support well, hold on, let me get back to John Money real quick. So people can deny this all they want, but literally all studies into the gender dysphoria and all that crap literally came from John Money studies. So
Nope.
you subscribe? No, they actually do. You subscribe to the idea of that from some sadistic doctor that wanted to run studies on children.
So the entirety of trans medicine is not based off of John Money now.
But name me
With
somebody
respect to
earlier than him.
with respect to like trans,
No, no, no. Name me somebody earlier than John Money.
yeah, exactly. I'm about to do it. So with respect to
All
trans
right.
healthcare, and in the Weimar Republic in Germany, before the interesting people came along, there's actually a whole institute for this medicine. I forget the name of the like prevailing doctor, but there's like a whole institute, and one of the first things that the new republic burned down, or I say republic, dictatorship burned down, was that institute. I can even pull it up real quick. The name of it.
All right, while you do that, would you agree John Money is the leading theorist in the whole gender world?
No.
No, well, I mean,
So Institute for
yeah.
Sexual Science is what it's called. It was in Berlin. I just have a Wikipedia article that I pulled up on it, but you can look at that on your own time. But yeah, to say that John Money was the foundation of all trans medicine is completely unfounded and historically inaccurate.
I mean, it's really not though. Like, you name me a doctor before John Money. You're naming institutions, and I never heard of
Do
that.
institutions have doctors?
Institutions have people working in them.
But okay, so yeah, Magnus Hirschfeld.
Magna Firstfield, put that in the back chat.
He
So
was a German
yeah,
physician, sexologist, LGBTQ advocate.
and oh, okay. So he was an advocate for a group. So he did studies on that to try to sway people.
He studied like LGBTQ stuff, basically. That's
Yeah, you know
probably
that's called a
the
biased opinion, right?
oh no, you just asked me to like cite someone who was like a part of that. I imagine there are probably more doctors in
Part
there
of the
too.
community. So that's literally a biased opinion. Look, I try
But
to
like
be as basic as
sexology is
possible.
quite literally the study of human sexuality, including human sexual interests, behaviors, and functions. Generally does not refer to the non-scientific study of sexuality. Like this is like more so aligned with something like anthropology, biology, and psychology. It's probably just like a predecessor to some of the subfields of psychology.
Gentlemen, I hate to interrupt. I have dropped the StreamYard link into the chat. We are going to go for probably about another 5 to 10 minutes. We will give closing statements, and we will open up the panel for questions, and then we will go into debate mode. If you would, everybody that wants to come back in the back, and we'll get you up here, just click the StreamYard link. Excuse me. Click the StreamYard link. If you have a camera, please turn it on. You do not have to be on camera, but I need to make sure that you are an actual human being. Again, back to you, gentlemen.
And also to cite another person, Arthur Kronfeld was one of the other major collaborators of the Institute for what was it called again? Sexual Science. There we go. So like the idea that there was no other like medical professional working on trans issues before John Money is again completely unfounded. The idea that there's like a whole institute dedicated to medical research regarding this is somehow, it doesn't tell if there were doctors working on it, is also very questionable at best. Again, the idea that there's a foundation of all of trans medicine related to John Money is just not true.
All right. So do you honestly feel like people can be born in the wrong body, or do you just support men who just want to be females?
So I can see it as like a valid framework for someone to kind of frame their gender dysphoria, but I wouldn't say that's like necessarily the case.
Say that one more time, please.
I could say that it is probably a valid way for a trans person to frame it or frame their gender dysphoria that way. But as like 100% coverall, probably not.
Oh, what do you mean? All right, let me ask those two separate questions separately. Do you feel like people can be born in the wrong body?
It is possible for them to feel that.
But is it possible for that to happen?
I don't know. It is possible for them to believe that. I don't know what it means necessarily to be like born in the wrong body.
I mean, that's one of the arguments the trans community brings up. So if you support them,
this is not like a full the whole of the trans community does not believe in like the idea that like you're just born in the wrong body. Like I said, it is a way to frame gender dysphoria, and it is also why I cast the statement that trans people don't necessarily have gender dysphoria that is clinically significant. And that is because a lot of trans people don't believe that they were born in the wrong body. A lot of trans people feel pretty comfortable in their bodies, and maybe outside of like doing HRT, don't really like do much. But outside of like their physique and all that, they're fine with it.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what I think. It makes no sense, and there's no scientific evidence to prove that people can't be born in the wrong body. And regardless of how small it is, you hear
Well,
that
that's
argument a
because it's
lot.
indexed to like their feelings.
Yeah, yeah, it's all about feelings. But to quote Ben Shapiro, facts don't care about your feelings. And we do things to mitigate crime. Like you're sitting here and saying it's a small percentage of men who say they're females just to get their rocks off of being in women's spaces. You say that's a small percentage, but we make murder a crime, or the lowest statistical crime out there. We make illegal, regardless of how small it is. Basically, no matter, excuse me, no matter how small it is, like, I mean, we got laws and law and order to mitigate possible stressful or violent outcomes. And that's my huge issue with men wanting to say they're females just to go in females' restrooms and lockers, and even sports, which I didn't mention sports. I shouldn't have
And
just now
once
because I
again,
know you
like
said, yeah,
so
we're
to
kind of
like
in
push back
agreement
on
on
this,
that.
once again, like you say that like facts don't care about your feelings, but I'm the only one who's brought up like any actual data on this. And like I've already
Well,
talked about this several.
I brought up
Wait,
facts
hold on. I've
too.
already talked about this several times before. You have not brought up any like data on this, by the way. Um,
I didn't bring
so
up
the
John
idea that
Money
there,
or how women
so again,
feel.
and I've already addressed that too. But going back to this, I've already addressed the crime rates on that. The idea that like more men are kind of abusing this now that there's pro-trans inclusive policies is just not borne out in the data. So I don't know why you're bringing this up again. It's just like completely unfounded once again, and I think you're kind of just bro clutching in this sense. And then going back to John
No,
Money, like the findings of it, and also the implications that you're trying to do with John Money are just again like not true at all. So like the idea that like John Money is the foundation of all like trans healthcare isn't true. Going back like past like Weimar Germany, like that's probably where like some of the more modern origins of that were. So I don't know why we're kind of negating that
and hold
again.
up, you're talking about data,
And
but you had to go on your computer and look up that institution that you named. So you can't really call me out for not
yeah,
bringing
no,
up
I
the
did.
data
I
as you
did
put
bring
it.
up. So hold on, I did bring up that there was an institution in Weimar Germany. I just didn't remember the name of it. So I don't know why. Like you're out here
I
saying that, oh,
mean,
you had to look that up. I again, like I grant that you're not as well read on this as me, but I think you would rather appeal to someone who has
well, I
more
mean, you don't
information on
even
this
have a
than you
firm
do.
stance. Like you
I
support
no,
people
whoa,
who claim they can be
whoa,
born in the
that's
wrong body.
crazy. I thought I outlined my stances in my opening. And
Well, I
I thought
mean,
I
good.
said that
I
in the
mean,
background too. Well, I'm going to appeal to the host here, Spin City here. Did I outline my positions in my opening? And did I say that I was going to do that for my opening?
Yes, he did. He did do that, Kraut. He did. He did
So,
affirm his stance. Yes.
so
well, I
I
mean, you
didn't
could
state.
confirm your.
I didn't say that I don't have any opinions. So this is like very weird and strange that you try and do this. But
Well,
yeah, I mean, again, like I would say, like appeal to the person that's a little bit more like well informed on this if you want to like have an honest discussion. Because I also know more about the John Money situation than you do, it seems. Because of the implications of the John Money study seem to indicate the opposite, that you can't force someone to be a certain gender, and that
some
being
little
a
boy
certain gender
offed
is kind of a
himself
little bit
because
more
of John
ingrained
Money.
than just as a choice or just in like bodily characteristics.
Some dude offed himself because of John Money studies, and there's actually other studies
Yes,
that he
because
did.
he was forced to be a woman. Yeah, I don't think you
By
should
who?
force people to be a certain gender.
Okay, and what
Yeah,
about
that's
the
why this
parents
is
in
why
today's day
conversion
and
therapy,
age?
by the way, this is why
And
conversion therapy fails.
there's parents out there that are talking their kids into being non-binary and transgender and all this other crap. What do you think that's going to do
Yeah,
to them
rapid
when they get
onset
older?
gender dysphoria doesn't exist either.
I'm sorry.
Rapid onset gender dysphoria, the fact that it's like some sort of social contagion, that doesn't work either. It's
Actually,
like
yeah.
you can't like coax someone into being like a different gender. That's like not something that happens.
You
There's a study on this. It's I say study, but it was like a really poor methodology study on rapid onset gender dysphoria is what the term is, and it was basically what that culminated in was there were parents that said that there was like a big rise in like kids identifying as trans, and when it was studied, all it did was pull the parents of the kids who were claiming that the kids were trans and had nothing to do with whether the kids were actually trans and whether there was like some sort of social contagion related to it. So that idea is
now
just completely flawed on that premise. And again, I don't
you
think you've
did you
looked into this enough, so I'd hope that
Well,
you
John,
should bring
no,
something up.
John Money, I did look into, and I'll definitely look up that institution you were talking about. But you yourself even stated they're pro LGBT community, so
Yeah.
their findings are going to be biased.
Yeah. Do you think I'm like beholden to John Money entirely?
I'm sorry.
Do you think I'm like beholden to John Money entirely? I mean, what he did was obviously
Well, I
fucked
think you
up.
even said he was a lunatic, so I'll give you that. But
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can't
So I'm
you
and
can't honestly
I'm
tell
telling
me
you
the
that I'm
trans
not
community
beholden to
isn't
his
based on John
findings.
Money. There's
I'm
a
not
lot
beholden
of
to his ideas
subscription.
of like gender either. Like I'm not. There's no reason for me to take his word completely here. I'm certain he probably made like some type of contribution, but whether that contribution was done under like some sort of like ethical like framework or morally, no, obviously not.
Did you say in your opening statement? Correct me if I'm wrong, but did you say you support kids undergoing some type of hormone treatment, regulated? But if
Yes,
they're
absolutely. So I'm basing this off of roughly the W path guidelines, which state that in order for a kid to be able to get on something like puberty blockers and then eventually HRT, that there needs to be some period of time where they experience clinically significant gender dysphoria as diagnosed by a psychiatrist. And and after, I think it's like between 6 months and a year, I forget what the minimum amount of time is.
how
That
old do they have to
kid
be?
goes like I think it's like Tanner stage 2 at the minimum. Um, is probably like where they start looking for that.
No,
But
no.
going off,
How old would you support? How old does the
so
kid have to be? Would you support?
like the age of puberty, basically. Like
About 12, 13.
that's where the changes related to puberty start, and that's where oftentimes gender dysphoria intensifies based off of that. And going off of that, to finish up the criteria, the kid goes to the psychiatrist. They deem that it's probably necessary for them to undergo first puberty blockers. There we go. And they go to the physician. The physician waves off on that, and then the kid obviously has to like consent to it. But
They're
what
a
they
little
need
kid. They can't
finally is
consent to anything.
get. I'm getting to that. So what they finally need is that the parents need to give the informed consent, and those are like two different things. Giving consent and informed consent are two different things. Informed consent being that you have the mental faculties available to review the data, review the risks, and review the outcomes, and to determine whether it is like going to lead to positive outcomes for the patient. So the kid
Right.
obviously can't do informed consent in most cases. Say for
Yeah.
like a kid that's like I forget the term, not expropriated. Fuck. Basically, the kid's on their own. They have like no parents to like look for. They're kind of legally considered an adult in that sense, where they can make medical decisions. But those are
So
like very rare cases, and they're usually
so
like 15 at the minimum.
do you know who Gavin Newsom is? I'm sure you do, right? Because you're an educated
Yes,
man. Okay.
yes, I'm
Do you
aware.
know what laws he signed and is trying to sign in California? I'll tell you
Wait,
one
Spin
thing.
City, what are you asking me to pin?
Well, no, I'll give you one law.
Oh, I see, I see.
I looked it up. I looked it up last year, so I don't know if he actually got it signed into law yet. I looked him up when
So
I heard there was talk about
I'm
him
not
running for
familiar with
president.
Gavin Newsom's latest law. So that's where you're asking me.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's latest law, but I'm going to tell you another issue I got with the trans community. And Gavin
You know, we're gonna move
Newsom
off of that.
had, yeah, give me a
Okay,
second, bro.
okay, go ahead.
He's trying to make it where if kids in school tell their teachers, I feel like, I'm a woman in a man's body, or I'm a man in a woman's body. They tell their teachers that. Gavin Newsom is trying to make a law, if it wasn't already passed, where those teachers do not have to tell the parents of what their kids told them. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I can kind of give an analogy for it too. So let's say that we could maybe do something even more serious too. Let's say that the kid like reveals to the teacher that that let's say their cousin or something has been they've been beating him up or something like that. But the kid doesn't want the teacher to tell the parents that because the parents are really close to the cousin's parents, and this kid fears that he would get retribution as a result of that. Do you think that's like a valid concern of the kid?
I mean, you're talking about active threats of violence, or active
I'm just
violence.
making the analogy here. I'm just making the
Well,
analogy here.
answer my question first, if you would. Would you support teachers not informing parents of
Okay, so
something like
I
that?
want an answer to the hypothetical here before we go on.
Well, I mean, I asked you a question first, right?
So
Quid
I'm
pro
trying
quo.
to. I told you yes, and I was going to make a hypothetical as to why
Oh, so
and
you
to
do
kind of
support that?
communicate that. Yeah, yes,
Okay.
obviously. So, and then going back
Okay.
to this, I'm going to answer the hypothetical. Would it be
No, yeah, yeah.
permissible? Wait, hold on. Would it be permissible then for the teacher to tell the parents that the kid's getting attacked by his cousin, and even though the kid says that the parents might give like a retributive act against him for that?
Yeah, that analogy doesn't work in that framework, because what you gave
So
is an
so
active
that it
threat of
does work.
violence.
The only big difference
I'm trying to answer your
is that
question.
the difference is the kid being trans and the kid getting beaten up by someone else, or the claimant
Exactly.
being beaten up by someone else.
Okay. So by your framework, you
Yeah,
wouldn't
the
tell the
analogies are
parents.
not supposed to be
No, no, hold
one to
up.
one. They're not supposed to be like perfect. So I want an answer to the analogy, yes or no. Would it be fine for the teacher to tell the parents that the kid's cousin's beating them up?
About 5 minutes, gentlemen.
No, no. They would do an investigation, but I'm gonna tell you
Okay.
why your thing
Okay. So
doesn't
wait.
logically make
So the
sense.
teacher would go to like some sort of like a trusted authority first before then, right?
DIFUS, or whatever the hell they call it in Cali.
Okay, perfect. So that's all I'm supposing here is that the teacher just does not tell the parents this, because
Okay.
one,
So
the kid is just socially like transitioning or like exploring their identity, and two, like if the
okay.
harm wait, hold on. If the
Well,
teacher does tell the parents and the kid does get harmed by as a result of this, that increases the risk of like things like suicidal ideation, depression, certain like negative behavior. It
people that
strains the relationship
transition
between a
feel
kid. It
off
strains the
themselves
relationship
too.
between the kids and the parents. Yes, they kill themselves at a higher rate, or they attempt to kill themselves at a higher rate, specifically because of either the gender dysphoria or the fact that there's a societal lack of
You would
acceptance.
almost say it's a
Again,
mental
I
illness
can
if you
bring the
off
data on this
yourself.
too. Like, don't worry, buddy. Like,
Yeah.
don't worry,
Well, hold on.
buddy.
Let me say
I
something.
grant
By
that
your
you're like
logic,
you're
hold,
desperately
hold on,
clawing for a
Boone.
win here, but you're
Boone.
not gonna get it.
No, no, no. I'm not. By your logic, you shouldn't tell the parents anything, because they might whoop their child. If the kid starts cutting up and he
If
beats
there's a
somebody in the
credible
head
threat
with a
for
lunch
retributive
pan,
action,
okay. Well, your
if
analogy
there's a credible
actively
threat of
states
retributive
violence.
action.
Of course, you wouldn't
Well,
tell the parents until an
I didn't say that it
investigation.
entails. I just said it had to be a credible threat.
Okay, okay, an incredible
If you're
threat.
talking
But
about my
by
statement,
your
so it's like a credible threat.
So, do you think the teacher shouldn't tell the parents anything of what the kids do, because the parent might beat the kid?
What do you mean
Is
by
it the
that? Like,
teacher?
just like in general, there's obviously going to be like guidelines on under what like is acceptable contact
Look,
here.
I'll tell you what, man. I got three lovely fucking kids. 90% of the time, so lovely. If they go ahead and tell their anything they do in school, I want to know about it, regardless. You know, but for the teacher's job is not to withhold information from the parent. It's not.
And in
I mean,
certain
you can say,
scenarios, it
well,
is.
what about
And
ism? That's what you're doing
in
right
certain
now.
scenarios, it is. Unfortunately,
If there's an
like
active
the
credible
concept of a
threat,
trusted
yes, I agree with
the
that.
concept of telling a trusted adult about something with respect to
Yeah.
any situation is just going to apply here. Now, it also implies that the parents are not like the first point of contact in every situation. Legally,
Well, Again,
Legally, those
what if the kids,
the teachers,
if the kid,
for all intents and
go ahead.
purposes, are going to be the guardians of that kid until the custody's handed back over.
Yeah. So if the kid gets in a fight and the teacher decides, I'm not going to tell the parents because the parents might beat the kid. Do you support that? I mean, by your logic, you have to
If that
support
is if that is a credible threat, I'd imagine that's probably going to be
That's
like
stupid,
permissible.
bro. That's stupid.
If there's a
I'm
credible
sorry.
threat, yeah. Okay, you're not serious.
What's
You're not
what's
a
a
serious
credible threat?
person.
How would the teacher define a credible threat?
So, in a general sense, it is a threat deemed to be significant enough and likely enough to happen. That would
No. How
warrant
would
like
they
some sort of adverse
how
action.
would they define it? How would they know if it's a credible threat? I shouldn't tell the parents because they might beat the kid that just knocked Jimmy
Okay,
over the
so
head with a lunch.
if there is a sufficient reason to believe that what the kid is saying is true, based off of either like past evidence or the fact that or just any
No
other
evidence.
existing
There's
evidence.
no evidence.
Okay, so
No
then
evidence whatsoever.
wait, so then it's not a credible threat then. There obviously has to be evidence of this being the case
So
for it to be a credible
so you
threat.
concede then.
No, you just didn't quite understand what credible meant. Good job.
Listen, I brought the argument where teachers
I've been
shouldn't
listening the
withhold
entire
information from the parents. You said they should
except
because
when
the
it is
parent might
acceptable for you to do so. You didn't
because it might
kind of leave that part out.
it might bring violence upon the kid. So I asked you, where
Yeah,
does
if there's
the
a credible
teacher?
threat. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, where does the teacher make define a credible threat? How does the teacher get that
There's
knowledge?
probably some type of policy. There's some type of policy or law in place for this.
Gentlemen,
in particular,
Policy
the
that
evidence.
scumbag Newsom is trying to put in place. You haven't
really outlined why
you
it's bad.
defeated your own
Unfortunately.
argument, bro. You defeated your own
Yeah,
argument.
where though? Where do you think that happened?
By your own logic. Like, what are you talking about, bro?
Yeah, so okay, where
I said if
which
there's
one
no
of my claims is
evidence of the
self-defeating?
parents
Hold
being
on. You just made a claim. Which one of my claims is self-defeating?
you said if there's no evidence of the parents beating their kids, would you support that teacher withholding information?
Yeah, if the kid if the kid says that my parents are going
Go
to
ahead,
beat me up
backtrack.
if you tell them X, Y, Z, like let's say the kid got a bad grade on the test. My parents are going to beat me up if you told them I got an F. And there is no evidence to indicate this whatsoever. You could look into maybe the past records of the parents. There's no criminal record. The parents are very active in the kid's life, et cetera, et cetera. Like obviously that threat's not going to be credible. There has to be some type of threshold. If you think that's self-defeating, then that's super weird because I believe that there's a threshold that you need to meet.
So if there's no evidence of the parents being violent,
then it doesn't meet the threshold.
So you wouldn't support the teacher withholding information from the parents.
Under what circumstance?
You're doing a Brian Shapiro again.
No,
gentlemen, speaking of Brian Shapiro, it is that time where I am going to say closing statements. We have some people backstage that are very eager to ask some questions. What we're going to do, I have dropped the StreamYard link. Bones of Doom has dropped the StreamYard link into his chat. It is pinned on Spin City News, over on X, Rumble, and Pilled. Kraut, I dropped it in your chat for you. If you'd like, if anybody would like to come up, all you have to do is click the link, come on up into the back. If you have a camera, you can turn it on, but my only rule is you turn the camera on so I can see that you are an actual human being and not doing something very vile in the background. We will go for probably about another 30 to 40 minutes, and then we will be heading over to the Raging Tomato for some more open panel fun on the Raging Tomato. So I am sure you will see Kraut Mick and Bones of Doom over there. So gentlemen, I am going to, since Kraut had his opening statement first, Bones, I am going to give you the opportunity to make your closing statement, and we will get to some chats and then we will play a little video and bring the panel up. Bones of Doom, it's your floor.
So to kind of summarize this whole debate, I don't think that my opponent here, Kraut, has really made any like good critiques here. He, like in the first segment, he vaguely alluded to there being an issue with like sexual deviance getting into women's restrooms when there's a pro-trans inclusive policy. The problem is he was never able to substantially address the like knowledge against this or any of the studies regarding this. So there's no reason to believe that this would be like a rational threat to women in women's restrooms, locker rooms, or etc. We then moved on to kind of like what gender dysphoria and transgenderism is, and whether being trans entails some sort of mental illness. We've concluded no. And then with respect to gender dysphoria, it seems like my opponent here doesn't know anything related to what gender dysphoria is or what it's classified as medically. So the idea that we'd ever be able to have a discussion on that is quite fraught. And the only thing he was able to bring up is John Money, and which, funnily enough, John Money showed that you can't force someone to be a certain gender, which would kind of go against the anti-trans view that that being trans is just a phase or decision, or the idea that being trans is just something that you kind of like get coaxed into. He doesn't seem to be aware of any like medical literature regarding this either, as he's kind of blindsided by RRGD and why that's bad. And he's also blindsided by the idea of there being a medical institute in Germany prior to John Money, which undermines the point that that John Money is somehow the foundation for all of trans medicine, and now we're on, I guess, Gavin Newsom's policies, which we didn't really get into, but it seems like he doesn't know what the difference between like a credible threat and a non-credible threat is, and he thinks that that's self-defeating. So I don't know. I just don't think he did particularly well, but given that he was probably given like a day to prepare, I mean, it just makes sense why.
Thank you, Bones of Doom. Kraut Mick, your final thoughts or final remarks to Mr. Bones of Doom, sir.
No. Again, first debate, some topics I kind of fumbled, but it doesn't mean that I'm wrong in my thinking. My opponent couldn't, to my last point, like he did concede. Like, open panel. I'm sure other people will have questions about that stands on his side, and I could probably further elaborate on why his argument is self-defeating by his own logic. Yeah, I mean, again, it's my first debate. I really don't have a closing statement. I guess I'll thank you again, Smith, for having me on. Bones, it was interesting. And I assume you are more of a debater than me, so you probably are more prepared, but you can't bring up stats when you yourself had to go on a computer to make your argument better. You had an inkling of an argument. I have no computer. I'm on my phone. I'm poor. I can't open another tab or I lose the stream. All in all, to think you can be born in the wrong body. Even Bones said he doesn't believe that's possible. And that is a huge argument of what the trans community brings to the table. But Spin, that's all I got. I mean, if you want to open the panel up, I'm good.
All right, Kraut Mick, we're going to, Mr. Bones of Doom and Kraut Mick are going to mute up. I will give my closing thoughts. I want to, first of all, thank Kraut Mick and Bones of Doom. Again, I want to give a shout out to Culture Creations. Unfortunately, she could not be here. We will get Culture Creations and Bones of Doom on another panel for this very debate at a later time. Miss Culture Creations is under the weather this evening. So again, Mr. Kraut, mighty obliged to you, sir, for stepping in and completing the stream. If the StreamYard link is in the chat, I'm going to repost it one more time. If you'd like to come up and ask Mr. Bones of Doom or Kraut Mick some questions, just please click the link and we will get you up and back here. And we are going to play a little bit of a little video, and we are going to bring the couple people that I have in the back that would like to ask some questions Here we go, guys.
Spin City on the screen, he walks in like a spark. Tie little crooked and he lights up the dark. Mic in his hand and the room starts to shake. Every seat got a fighter, every point got a stake. He points, he grins, then the volume goes high. One more hot take and somebody might fly. Hands up, here we go again. Talk real loud, let the chaos begin. Side to side and the truth gets loud. Spin City calls it out. Right there in the crowd, the panelists on America. Rising media, the panelists on America. Hey, rising media. Spin City, spin it hard. Yelling at everyone. Spin City, spin it hard. Nobody leaves untouched. He leans in close, then he cuts to the chase. A raised eyebrow hit right across his face. One says yes, one says no in a flash. He turns the heat up like he wants it to clash. A finger in the air and the debate goes wild. Every argument sharp, every answer style. He laughs, he swings, then he hands up the mic. The whole room buzzes like a match in the night. Hands up, here we go again. Talk real loud, let the chaos begin. Side to side and the truth gets loud. Spin City calls it out. Right there in the crowd, the panelists on America. Hey, rising media. The panelists on America. Rising media. Spin City, spin it hard. Yelling at everyone. Spin City, spin it hard. Nobody leaves untouched.
Might I say that violated flag code? Terrible.
So,
Good to see everybody. We have Toasty Man Bad, or excuse me, Hard Talk Toasty, and P. Fletch that have joined. Again, if anybody else would like to join, please hit the StreamYard link or click on the StreamYard link in the chats. You are more than welcome to come up. Also, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. It's free. It helps us. It helps Spin City out. Also, make sure check out Bones of Doom and Krautmik on YouTube for they could use your support as well. Gentlemen, we are going to open just a few questions and answers to our guests up there. P. Fletch, you've been waiting for a little bit. I appreciate your candor and your patience in the back. Sir, your question to the panelists.
Yes, I have a question for Bones. Earlier in your opening statement, did you state that gender is assigned at birth, or that you believe that?
Sex is assigned at birth.
Okay.
I made the distinction between gender and sex.
Oh, okay, all right. Must have got muddled. That was it. I was gonna say, got you with a. I was gonna get you with a contradiction there that was made earlier, but now that that's cleared up, it kind of derails that. So,
Hey, look, no worries. I appreciate the questions either way.
all right, Toasty, you got the floor, kid.
All right, so Bones, Spoons of Goon. So I'm wondering, what's the diagnostic criteria for what is a woman?
Yeah, you want me to go into it?
Bones of Doom.
It's going to be a
Spoons of Goon.
definition.
Come on, let's go.
Yeah. So there's going to be a definition. It's going to be non-exhaustive, and then there's going to be two necessary conditions attached to it. I'm going to provide a syllogism
What's
based
the
off of this.
diagnostic
Is that gonna
criteria
be
for
okay?
fucking what?
Hold on. Toasty, this is question and answer. You ask a question, let him answer.
Yeah.
So one, this is a category error with saying that there's a way to diagnose someone as a woman. That's a big blunder in your end. But whoa, I thought this was a Q&A. I thought this is a Q&A. You okay, Toasty?
It's a category.
All right, perfect. So the definition
literally-
the definition of woman that I was using, if you had listened earlier, it is someone who has and identifies with majority feminine traits, and that this definition is non-exhaustive. This also implies that adult and human are some of the implied conditions related to this.
So I asked you what is the diagnostic criteria. What's the diagnostic criteria
Yeah,
for
this is a
what is a
category
woman?
here. That,
Okay, so let
well,
me
just a
ask you like
category.
this.
You don't diagnose someone as
Let
a
me phrase
woman.
it like
What are
this.
we doing?
So let me phrase it
Well,
like
so
this.
the Toasty's
Let me phrase
big.
it like this.
The
Let me
Toasty's
phrase it
big
like this.
argument is that
Hold
being a
on,
woman
Let me phrase
guys.
it
is a
like
One at a
this.
disease.
God
time.
damn it.
That'll
Spoon.
be right there.
One at a
Spoon.
time, please.
Let me phrase it like this then. If I
How do we
if
get to where I'm a
I
woman?
if I cut my hair like Andrew Wilson, if I grow my beard like Andrew Wilson, if I fuck like Andrew Wilson, if I eat like Andrew Wilson, if I legally change my name to Andrew Wilson, if I copy his
Sounds
diet
like
exactly
you have like a
so I
big
can get the exact
parasocial
same weight
relationship with
and the
him. That's
exact and
weird.
I take a surgery so I can be exactly the same height, does that make me fucking Andrew Wilson?
No, it'd make you.
I'm
Well,
honestly, it kind of depends. I mean, if you've gone through all the
Does
steps
that make me
legally,
Andrew Wilson?
Oh.
Does that make me Andrew Wilson?
Okay, he's not. He doesn't want me to answer. This is crazy. So if you take like
It's not a fucking hard question to answer.
if that's what you take, okay. So if that's what you take Andrew Wilson to be, all those behaviors, and then you change your name, you change your physique to match him, and you also get like sloppy thirds, on a wife, then then
that
sure,
make
you know
me
what, you
Andrew
can, for all
Wilson?
intents and purposes, you could be Andrew Wilson. Yeah.
So it would make me Andrew Wilson if I did all that.
Yeah, if you're like, yeah, if you did
You're not
that,
going to
yeah.
sit there and you're not going to say, Toasty, no, you're not Andrew Wilson. Andrew Wilson is Andrew Wilson. You're going to sit there and you're going to affirm my delusion that I believe I'm Andrew Wilson. Is
Oh,
that correct?
No, you don't need to be delusional.
You're going to tell me that yes, you're correct.
So
for Andrew Wilson.
hold on. So if it is the case that you call yourself Andrew Wilson, and you've not only gone through like all the legal to be able to change your name, which by the way is like not necessary. I think there's like a lower standard to like change your name just socially, anyways. Like the difference from saying like Richard and Dick. Those are like two things right there where just being fine to like use a different name here. If you go through all that, yeah, you'd be Andrew Wilson. But it just seems really weird.
Are you going to call me Andrew Wilson if I identify as Andrew Wilson?
If you just identify as Andrew Wilson, probably not. But also have no reason to believe. I don't know what your name is necessarily.
They're not actually a woman, right?
If you're telling me that your IRL name is just Andrew Wilson, you'd like me to refer you to that, then sure, that's fine. I don't care. People can have aliases all the time.
Toasty.
So you're saying that you're fine with me pretending to be Andrew Wilson?
I mean, in certain contexts, I mean, it's fine for anyone to pretend to be something. Just like you can pretend to be like Edward Scissorfingers at Halloween.
So then, why? Okay, go ahead, Spin. You got it. You know where I'm going.
I know where you're going. I know where you're going with it.
It's
but
off a cliff. That's what he's going.
Here,
every day is Halloween.
Fucking spoons.
Spoons of goons.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
look, Toasty's always here to like bring the bottom barrel arguments here,
and that's fine. That's fine. It helps the algorithm and it helps keep the panel going. I want to let everybody know I am the moderator. I must stay bipartisan, whether I am partisan or not, because I have to moderate this shit show that's about to be undertaken. P. Fletch, do you have another question?
Yeah, this one's for Toasty.
Oh God,
go
ahead.
Would you use the same cuck chair as Andrew Wilson?
Wait, say that again.
Would you use the same cuck chair as Andrew Wilson?
Probably, if I'm wanting to be Andrew Wilson in the letter, right? I'd probably even ask for closure with the chair. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you probably would.
Oh God,
probably. More than likely.
More than likely. I mean, I got to be 100% accurate, or I'm not the real thing, right? I can't be the real Andrew Wilson, right?
You got to be a method actor, kid.
Spin, can I ask Bone a question? I don't know how that works because
we are now into the complete degen. Might as well. Fuck it. Go ahead.
I mean, it's a degen topic.
If somebody identifies as black, would they be allowed to enter an all-black school? There are some schools like that.
I guess it depends on like what criteria the black space is using. But if someone just identifies with that, I mean, more power to you. It's probably not going to work. There's like different genetic modifiers to like transracial than like a transgender would be, or as genetic markers, really just like any markers in general.
Bones.
Well,
you remember Rachel
it
right?
is theoretically it is plausible that there could be like a case for like a transracial person. The problem is that race is probably like more ill-defined than like woman or man, and it would be like even more like superfluous to
see,
like,
this is what you
cash that out.
don't give a hard stand on where you're lying. So let me ask you another question. This is going to seem like
I did. I said it was like feasible, that it's possible.
Okay, well, I mean,
you're like an expert at tracking. Sorry, I'm being aggressive. Yeah, but I did say it is possible.
So when somebody dies and they test who they are, what are the two things they can absolutely figure out about that person?
That they can absolutely figure out, like as they die.
Yeah. Their sex.
You know what? Yeah, sex. Okay.
And
Age of
their
death.
race.
Sex and race.
Well, that's
really now.
Yeah, that's going to be a ballpark with age of death.
What you're talking about is just kind of like an ethnic dispersion, or rather like where the family tree kind of ends up. That doesn't really tell like someone's just like race and plictor. That just tells you the like origins. Because like I'll use this example, like a white person of today is probably going to be different from a white person of like the 1800s, where like Irish people and Italian people were considered white.
Well, they're still
like I said, those concepts are like pretty ill defined. It's like that saying that, like race is like an absolute like determinative thing just from like figuring out when you die. Like that's like
do you believe
sex though? You do have a case for sex though.
I
believe with respect to like I believe like respect to like skeletons and like other stuff. At least with like archaeological findings. Hold on. That
no,
like,
you're
maybe
doing a
like
lot of work. Because you're wrong. We got to backtrack. You're wrong.
At 3/5 of like skeletons can be pretty easily identified either like male or female.
Hold on, bro. Do you know Ancestry.com? They literally test your DNA to see where you hail from, so they can absolutely decide.
Yeah, they don't tell you your race though. That's the big.
Yeah, they do. What the fuck? Race. Yes, they do.
Race is socially constructed. Yeah.
All right, so
that can only tell you like what your race would be indexed like a current understanding of race, but.
Somebody leave.
Somebody left. P. Fletch.
Oh.
Yeah. I think P. Fletch dropped out, but that's fine.
Yeah, no, that just tells you like
what he wanted to do.
That just tells you the origin of or I guess the like where the parents and rest of the family came from.
Well, I'll agree with you. I'll agree with you. That doesn't tell you is a social construct. So, but you would have to agree gender is a social construct.
That's just like a national origin, basically, of like their ancestors.
Would you agree gender is a social construct then?
Yeah, pretty obviously.
All right. So would you rather a society treat the individuals based on hard science or social constructs?
I mean, why can't we do both where it's necessary?
Because it puts people in jeopardy, for one.
I would grant that there are some issues with like maybe like a pure like biological or purely like social usage of the word in all cases. I would see some absurdities there, but I don't hold that view. I hold that there are some relevant characteristics in one scenario and there are other relevant characteristics in another.
Because I actually kind of agree with you that
you're basically arguing on what brings more utility.
Well, what makes more comfortability and harmony, for lack of a better word, and we can't treat we treat men and women different because there's a clear distinction between a man and a woman. So why can't we?
Is that why?
Why we treat them differently? Yeah, absolutely.
Just because we treat them different just because they're different.
So I'll go back again. I'll research the list a little bit.
Distinctions between a man and a woman. But go ahead. What is that?
Okay.
What?
Yeah. Wait. So you just restated the position. So you treat them different because they're different. Got it. Okay.
No. Yeah, distinctions. Yeah, like a man is a
Okay.
man.
I
A
don't know.
woman is a
Wait, I
woman.
don't know why you're arguing with me then. I don't know why you argued with me a second ago.
I think you
Must have
missed the
been the
point that
wind.
I brought up.
No, that was the point. You just didn't
Uh,
have anything beyond
so
that, just like you did
so
earlier. But
men and
we'll
women are
go off of
different,
that.
right? So you
Yep.
agree they're different, and we
Men and
treat
women
them
are
differently.
different.
Maybe bring your
Of course.
phone closer. He can't quite hear you. Maybe Mick.
Oh, my bad. All right. So
I
do
don't think
we
that'll help
treat?
them.
Yeah. So we should treat people, individuals, based on hard science, not how they feel.
What do you mean by like
Like,
hard science versus how do they feel? Because it seems like there's at least in psychology, there's kind of an intertwining of those views.
no, psychology isn't hard science.
Well, I'm saying no. There is a degree of science that psychology does. They do adhere to some degree to the scientific method,
No, but it's
albeit
not. That doesn't mean
generally,
it's hard science.
albeit
Wait, hold
so
on.
like your
Do you know
designation
the
between like
difference
hard and
between hard
soft
science
sciences
and
are going to
soft
be like
science?
yes, I do.
How
Yes, I do
on my
understand the
homeboy?
differences.
Good to see you.
It doesn't matter. Like basically, all I'm supposing is that any science is going to adhere to some degree of the scientific method. I'm not saying that like psychology as a field is like very robust or the most or as robust as say like physics, chemistry, biology, but they do carry like some weight and some value scientifically.
Well, I mean, they can help
And you
understand a
do too
situation,
because you
but
cited John Money, by the way. You do too.
no, I cited
Yeah,
John
but
Money
John
for my
Money,
argument.
John Money isn't denying that that little boy is in fact actually a girl. He's saying, hey, well, you're gonna have to kind of brainwash your kid into believing that they are
Oh
gender.
yeah, Toasty, I already addressed this. Yeah, you can't brainwash your kid into being a different gender. If you try
Right.
and like
Absolutely
push,
can.
And
yeah,
so that fucking
if you try
kid,
and
they killed
so yeah,
themselves because they
yeah,
realized they can't force being a girl.
yeah. Guess what? This runs the
Duh.
same way with
So
trans
no,
people.
you
You can't
can't live
force
your
a
life
trans
living a
woman to be a
lie
man.
once you know the truth.
Toasty, you fucking blundered too. Oh my god, that's cute.
No, I
I don't know
didn't.
why. Yeah,
No,
yes,
I
this
didn't.
is
I'm
a
fucking
blunder.
shutting
So
you down. That's
wait,
what just
hold on.
happened.
So
Hold on.
I'm
Hold on.
gonna outline this
I
position
shut your
once again.
stupid
So
fucking premise
what John
down.
Money
That's what
found.
happened.
Well, so what John Money found is that you can't force someone to be a certain gender. You know who else forces
Yeah,
people to
so you
be a
can't
certain
force a
gender?
fucking
Tran-
biological male
so
to be a female,
so
stupid.
conversion therapy being the big thing. When people that undergo like conversion therapy attempt to like detrans the kid, guess what? It doesn't fucking work because
Yeah,
you
neither
can't
lie
force
doesn't work.
someone to not be their gender that they are.
Would you like to hear a study that I just found? It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
hear it.
Okay. Let's go, Spoon Zagoon. So
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I guess we're not hearing the study. Okay. Well,
Oh
yeah.
my God!
Yeah, what John Money proved is that you can't
But that you
force
can't
people
force
be
your kid to be a
that they're
certain
not,
gender. Yeah,
which
I
means they-
agree. I agree. It's a very,
which
very
means you
pro-trans
can't
thing
force
about
boys to
Toasty.
be women. You can't force boys
Yeah,
to be
that's
girls.
true.
That's
Yes,
what he proved.
you're getting it. You're almost there. You're almost there. Which is why conversion therapy doesn't work, Toasty. Which is why conversion therapy doesn't work. Conversion therapy doesn't work. It doesn't. Conversion therapy doesn't work.
You're conceding to
And
my
that's
point.
because, and that's
You're conceding to my point. Remember, you're
wait. Your
pro-trans
point was that
lesbian.
conversion therapy doesn't work. Okay, good job, pro-trans Toasty. Let's go. I'll
No, I'm not
concede on being
pro-trans,
pro-trans
Toasty.
any day.
You're the pro-trans.
Look, you're the one
So
who
John
holds
Money
the position that
is
you
sitting
can't
there
force
fucking
someone to be
leg swiping
trans.
your argument. You fucking retard.
Yeah, you can't force
Then
someone
you're
to be trans.
losing.
You can't force someone to be trans. Good job. That also debunks RGD, by the way, or that also debunks any like social coercion with respect to like being trans too. Which is again why conversion therapy doesn't work.
So you mean it's
Which is why
wrong for the
conversion
fucking
therapy doesn't work.
Democrats to go to be encouraging these fucking people
Oh,
to be
they're not encouraging
transitioning?
these. Wait, yeah, they're only
That's
saying
social
that you're
coercion,
trying to be
stupid.
like. That's not
It's
cool.
wrong. So you're admitting that
Wait,
it's
wait.
wrong.
So
for
okay,
the
so
fucking
saying that
Democrats.
it's okay to be trans, that's social coercion.
No, that's not what I said at all. Listen, maybe
So, like,
fucking clear the
what's the
goonery
position
out of
you
your
guys come in
fucking
then?
ears, and you can fucking hear something
Oh no!
instead of taking
I feel
advantage
like I
of fucking
accidentally
nice
sputtered the
debaters like
pro-trans
Mick.
worldview. Yeah. After you accidentally spouted the pro-trans worldview, yeah, good job, buddy.
Hey, Bones, did you said you can't brainwash somebody into being trans?
Yeah, that's why I brought up why RGD is like really stupid and why conversion
Well,
therapy doesn't work. And it's also
hold up,
why
hold up, hold up, hold
I
up.
like
That's
talked
false.
about why John Money's study, like what that shows that you can't force someone to be trans.
Th-
Yeah,
that
that's why I
that
brought that up.
that's
So then you
false.
agree with us that we should get all the trans propaganda
If
out of the fucking
what you're
social
saying is that
circle,
you
right?
hold a pro-trans view, then I agree. Then yeah, you can't force someone to be trans. You can't force someone to be cis. Yeah, my
You can
position
for-
remains
what?
very consistent on this.
People are
Do you-
already born cis by default. There is no force. There is no
Nope.
force necessary.
Nope, not always. Unfortunately,
Hold
not.
up,
Yes, always.
Hold up, Fletch.
You have to
Hold up,
convince
Fletch.
somebody
Yeah,
that they're something that they're not.
unfortunately, kids don't develop a concept of gender until they're like at least 2 to 3. So really, like there are
Are
no
you
like
fucking kidding me?
concepts of gender
So
before
they look.
like
You mean they
3.
look at their pee? They say, "Mama, what is that?" And you say, "That means you're a boy."
So that's just indexed to like the sex.
Because
Most of
that
the kids
is
don't
the
develop. The
diagnostic
kids don't develop.
criteria for what is a man.
Kids don't develop a concept of gender until at least like 2 to 3 at the minimum. So I don't know why like we're going into this. Yeah, kids don't have a concept of gender, just like they don't have a concept of a lot of things before they're 2. Before they have
But
like
yet there's
cognitive memories.
parents out there
I'm
saying
gonna
they're
let it
2
go.
or 3 year olds or non-binary or transgender.
Yeah, Alwine, go
What
ahead,
about
man.
Point of order. All right. So I would like to point out the fact that I just read this study that was from using the DM5, I believe it was. There's what they were citing.
Okay, so what's the study called? I want the name of it.
I don't have it in front of me right now. I'd have to get back onto my phone to pull it up. So, according to this study, it was done by, I believe, either Harvard or Yale University in regards to transgender studies and the manipulation from social constructs. The study cited that out of the social influencers that had switched to be trans, 85% of them did it solely for monetary value gain because of the social constructs that we have built around the ideology and the propaganda. So I would
So
like to ask.
you're saying that sometimes people will do things for clout?
Yes. So as we've seen with Dylan Mulvaney, as we've seen with 90% of the social influencers that come out as trans, they're not truly trans. They don't fully commit to having the full surgery done. They don't fully commit to actually being that sexuality that they claim to be. So what I would like to ask you is, what I'm asking you is then, if this is true and we have this study that shows that, wouldn't you then agree that the trans propaganda that we're seeing within the States and within the world is false propaganda? And it's push a narrative of all inclusivity.
So the idea that like some people are going to utilize some like protected status for clout, this is just going to be true in like any case. Same thing with like gay people. Same thing with like fucking like left-handed people. Like, but I wouldn't say that likewise, or even with like black people, I wouldn't say, but likewise. That this just means that like the whole like idea of being trans is false and the idea of being gay is false, like anything related to that. There's like no reason for me to believe that, and also it just has no bearing on whether like being trans is like fine. All it just tells me is that sometimes people are gonna like maliciously utilize like social clout, just like somebody could like maliciously utilize the bathrooms, but I don't see like an issue with trans people using the bathrooms because there's no like criminality associated with it.
Well, I mean, I can disprove criminality very easily. Yes, there is an increase in criminality. There most definitely is an increase.